Hey everyone, it's Aaron Anderson from Want to Great and Aaron Automates. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you the behind the scenes for how we use Notion to track all of our progress from the very beginning, from the first discovery or lead management, all the way through to build, test, launch, and maintain for Want to Great. We use Notion as our main hub. And we've been exploring and creating different ways to use Notion, and today I'm going to show you behind the scenes and what it looks like. So let's take a look. This is our Notion homepage. I am going to be hiding some stuff and might be cutting things that I don't want to share, but for now, just bear with me. This is our company homepage, and I wanted to make it interactive. I wanted to want to come to this page. It's actually always pinned to my browser right up on the top left, just the way that my email, calendar, and ChatGPT is. And I just went online and Googled how do I get the weather app in Notion, found a template, it was easy to drop that in here. On the left, I have the most common things that we do. So I'm using Notion buttons to either create a new integration, a new proposal, a new client, things I need to do pretty quickly, and there are templates set up behind it as well. What I want to focus on is the databases pieces right here. And what we've done is we've created um, just a few databases that are relational to other databases for the purposes of what we're trying to do. So the two that I'm going to show you today is the app directory and the integrations. Starting with the integrations tab, what I'm showing you here is these are a series of some active integrations that we have going. I'm going to create a new one so that you can see more details about what sort of fields and attributes we're collecting around this. So you can see the clients. I can click in here, and this is actually a relational database with the clients table as well, right? So I'm now linking a client to this integration, which if I'm looking at a client view, I can then see all the integrations we're building. Or if I'm looking at this particular integration, I quickly know which client it's for. In this case, let's just do like internal, and we'll grab like the integrate internal. So we build for ourselves as well, obviously. So from here, automatically puts in a custom unique identifier. This is proof of concept 60. Use case, this is where I can type out like some details about the integration. We do have a team of folks that are working with us to help us build these. So the more I put in here, the better. And the app directory, you notice anytime that this arrow is pointing up and to the right, it means that it's connected to another table. And so I have a table full of all the integrations that all the applications that we've integrated with. And I try to make it cute and fun by putting a little logo of like what the tool is. So in this case, we'll actually build this out together. So in this case, I'm connecting Slack, Notion, and then I also want to do Google Drive. And notice that these all exist here because I've integrated with them already. But let's say there's one that didn't exist. All right, it does. But you can create a new one very quickly from here, which then creates that item in the other app directory database. So yeah, so let's put this in, like create, what are we doing? Create a series of project alignment integrations from that are triggered from Notion to Slack and G Drive. You can't see me type, but yeah, and let's put this in here. We'll do like project management optimization. All right. I put in for customers what I think the one-time costs and recurring costs are. This is also tracked in HubSpot. I don't have an integration between those two. Maybe I should, but for now we can do, let's just do 0, since this is an internal project. And then I can add any tasks that I want. This status dropdown is what we use to track the sequence of pretty much our customer journey workflow. So you can see under the to-do, these are more of the sales aspects. So it always starts in discovery, or we design what it is that we're going to build. Then we make sure that we can actually build it by doing a very quick proof of concept and just connecting the apps that we need to. From there, we actually send back a proposal And then once that proposal is good to go, we'll go into contract. Sometimes we go straight to contract and skip proposal if we're working fast or if we know that the client already is ready to rock and roll. And then in progress, this is where most of our integrations would live that are active. So this is like us actively building it. This is us testing the integration and then ready to launch. And then once it's launched, it goes into live. We obviously track things like if we end up losing the deal at some point, or we decommissioned or archived it. So we have these kind of like other statuses that we track as well. But there's automations that happen for these. So like when I move it to build, it actually will switch the owner from me to, oh, you saw it happen, to my co-founder Marcelo. So when it gets to the build phase, I'll often build a lot of them, but he has that 20-year experience building automations. So it now clearly divides the work and saying, hey, we sold this, let's have you start working behind the scenes to actually build this out. And so, yeah, so there's some automations there. I want to show you how we edit this. So I'm just going to click into status. You can and click edit property. And you can see we can add different ones. We have the default one that it always comes in at. But yeah, you can just come in here and like if we wanted to add a new one, we would add it there, change the color, and make sure that it makes sense. This one doesn't make sense, so I'm going to delete it. But yeah, that's how I track the statuses across it. And then for the relational piece of it, let's do this. So let's edit this property so you can see how we do it. So in the type, what you're going to want to do is click relation, and you're going to make sure that that other database already exists. And in that relation, you're then going to choose app directory. So I want to link a one integration with the app directory database so that I can add apps to this one integration, and then it'll track it in the app directory as well. And what I'm doing is a reverse. So I'm doing, yeah, so I add show on app directory. So what this means is essentially, let's change this to one integrations. That if you can kind of see this model here. So if it's on a one integration, then it's also going to appear, it's essentially a two-way connection, if that makes sense. So they're like bidirectionally related. So if I add an app on the app directory and connect it to a one integration, it'll appear on the one integration and vice versa. So I do this for most of them. I have it like I show this property also on the app directory. You'll see it in just a second because I'll show you that. I'm a big Loom person. I'm recording this on Loom actually, so I do quick, like whether it's 2 to 5 minute videos when I'm collaborating with one of my teammates to just say, hey, here's a quick summary, here's what I've learned, here's what we need to do, ready, set, let's build. And then I can also obviously link any proposals to this as well. You're going to notice this is pre-populated with a series like a template already. And the template you can set up if you go back to one integrations and then in the new section, you click the drop down. You can see this template, and I'll edit this one so you can see what it is. So by default, it's just going to assign the owner to the person who created or duplicated that page. And then I created a table of contents that links into the different sections so that we can track the full end-to-end progress of this one integration all on one page. It used to be separated out where there was some discovery and design and proof of concepts. And then once it left the proof of concept, then it went to build. And we decided, you know what, let's push all of this together. It's very easy to quickly search using Notion AI, so I can just quickly find what's happening. But for this example, if we're in the discovery, if we're in like the build phase, then I'll just jump down to build and it'll start helping me. So essentially all of us, like this is how we collaborate internally. We all put our notes under the each section that we're particularly working on, which then allows this page to continue to grow with all of our findings, with all of our thoughts. We add comments, questions, we tag each other to make sure that we're aligned with what's going on. So yeah, that is let's open this one again. That's that. So what I would be doing here, starting in discovery, I would put in like what my like the challenges are. So in this case, what's a challenge? A challenge is like team not notified on like one integration project status updates, right? And then too much time creating G Drive folders for new customers, right? So things like that. I would then embed the Miro page here. So Notion allows you to like embed objects, and Miro works really well. This is where I build the full like, hey, who are your challenges? Who are your stakeholders? And then build off, okay, what's your current state? What apps are we using? And then be able to start brainstorming a future state. So I just paste a link in here and select embed, and it's just like right in here as well. It seems like it's part of the page, and then different pieces. So what are the requirements? What's the result? This tool in action needs to go to this tool to perform that action. So you can see this is something that we're continuing to update and develop the more we work on this. Let's go to the app directory. So I want to go to, let's see. Yeah, the app directory. So this allows us to see all the apps based on an attribute of the app. So Airtable is a big one, right? We use Airtable a lot for different things. So we have AI just found the website and puts it here if I need to. We have the integrations that are related to it. We can add any additional notes. I made sure to go find an image so I can have the image, but you can start to see we have a ton of different apps, and this is where it's really cool to tell a story like as the apps grow. So I'm gonna say we're up to like 50 apps that we've integrated with, and I know that because I can quickly come into the app directory and see what exactly how many we've integrated with to that point. And then any notes, like any lessons that we've learned about like a nuance with Airtable, we'll try to put it in there so that the next person that is working on an integration with Airtable. We're just creating like a knowledge base, links to like videos that we watch that are helpful to as we learn. So really like knowledge distribution, knowledge organization has been the key focus of this. We're 12 minutes in. Who wants to actually build a make scenario? Let's do it. So all right, let's explain the setup of this automation. And there are two things that this is doing. One, it's letting myself and the team know if there's been any status updates on this one integration project, meaning if it moved from build to test, that means I should jump in and start to create some test scenarios and go through and like start to test it. Or let's say we moved from proposal to contract, that can let my co-founder and team know that we have a potential lead that's now in the contract phase that we can start preparing for, right? So each time that the status updates, this automation is going to post a message onto Slack. And I'm going to work in reverse because it's greater, it's better to look at the final state and then how we got there. So I'm going to share the screen on our Slack channel that we set up. So this is project underscore updates. And we can see that I created a custom bot just called project update bot in Slack, which you can do fairly easily. And it has a little bullhorn. So it says, hey, something new is happening, right? So this project for this client has been updated to proposal. You'll see that I also have attached additional information about that Slack message into a thread instead of having it all in one full kind of box, right? It takes up too much bandwidth. I just want to see what happened recently. We did this happened, what's going on here, right? And so I'm able to tuck away other relevant information if it's relevant into a thread instead of directly into the message, the main message. And so at the end of the day, this is the module that's we're focused on the most. This is the final end state. The purpose of this one integration really is to update Notion into Slack so that the team can stay updated on project statuses as they're progressing through the journey, the workflow. And so this is the message. So essentially just choose the channel. Anything that is centered around asterisks will appear bold in the Slack message. So I'm pulling in the name of the integration, the company name that it's a tie to, and then the status name here, right? And a very quick one-liner summary. And then I always like to play around. I like to make these interactive. So I use the megaphone emoji here. I can change the name of the little bot if I want to, like customize it. And I use a bot instead of my personal connection because the personal connection that I have to Slack, it'll just post it as myself. And there's a couple of problems with that. One, I don't get notified, like I don't see the little bold white new unread message in a Slack channel if it's me posting, right? So I pretty much always use the Slack bot, and I have a few of them for different purposes. But I essentially want a bot to come in and let me know what's going on instead of it looking like I'm typing this post and I'm coming in here each time. Okay. Um, so once you have that, pretty cool feature in Slack that I use often is being able to do a thread, as we saw. And it's really simple to set up. All you do is you grab the timestamp, which is the second attribute in Make from the previous module. You just pull in the timestamp, and it will then create, this module will then create a thread message within the previous Slack message. So really simple to set up, and you can see the details that I added here in this Slack message are some bullets, some things that I think would be relevant if someone's more curious about it. So who's the owner? What's the summary of the use case? Remember, these are all information that are stored in Notion, and now we're trying to disseminate that information to keep the team up to date on what's going on with that project. I can very easily add additional attributes as I need to. One thing that you'll notice here, so I use this pretty often, you see it's up there and it's down here. So this is just a fun little Slack trick that you can use. Excuse me. If you use these two brackets with the large line in the middle, you can put whatever URL and then the text here so that when you post a message somewhere, whether it's an email or in Slack, it's not a huge long URL. It's just very clean and easy. And if I need more information, I can click onto it. So to compare, here it is right here. I can click on that and it takes me directly to the Notion page for the project management optimization that I'm doing. And I can see more information about it. So yeah, so that's that. Now let's start to work backwards. I'm going to show you, this is an extra bonus one that I'll get to in a second. But how did we get this information? So first of all, we watched database items. So as I mentioned earlier in the video, the database item is essentially so as I mentioned earlier in the video, the database item is pulling from the WannaGreat database table, essentially. So how I get this is I just drop in the database ID, which how do we find that? It's simple. It's right up here. It's just in between, right before the question mark after the forward slash. So I can copy that and put it in here, 90426. That's great. We're doing a limit of 10. That's awesome. And then this runs every 2 hours. So I don't want to use too many operations, but every 2 hours sounds great. And from there, I do have to use an iterator because if I didn't, let's say I updated 2 project statuses in the last 2 hours, it would only pull the first bundle output from that. And so we can actually see in this example, that's exactly what happened. In this one, there were 2 bundles that came out of it. So 2 were updated. And so I needed to iterate those out so that the future modules all had 2 that happened as well. The first one, it doesn't really matter, but I didn't have a client name in there, which you'll see in a second. So the get client name, this is, you're going to notice in the bundle output for this that in the property value, there is like I have a client, but but it doesn't tell me what the client name is, right? So it doesn't matter. Like for me, the 83F78 does not mean anything to me. I can't use that. That's not useful information. So I did have to add a second Notion module here that's getting the database item for the company name. And so what I've done is I've essentially added an iterator that's pulling the client ID And once it does that, it's then going to use that client ID and give me back all the information around now that client table. So you can see how these client relational databases are becoming really useful the way we had set it up in the first place. So I can now see more information about this particular company. This is our internal, WannaGrade internal company that we set up. So this looks good. And this is actually the piece of information that's most usable for me in this next notification, which we can see property value, company name in plain text. Brilliant, awesome. Obviously this blueprint, you're gonna get access to it. So I'll put it down here in the link so that you can, in the comments, in the link below, so that you can use this. Also, if this was useful, you know what to do. Please subscribe. I'm having a lot of fun adding value and sharing knowledge and sharing the things that we're building. But we're not done yet. So let's look at creating a Google Drive folder. Why is this relevant? Well, I find myself on the, when we get to a proposal stage, I need to send a proposal and even a contract, right? And where do I store those contracts? So I'm very organized, and I have in my Google Drive shared folder with the team, we have a folder for 00 clients. So it's at the top anytime it's alphabetical. And in there, there's a subfolder for each of the clients that we have. And so what this is doing is I wanted to just go ahead and create a folder whenever a OneIntegration gets to the status for proposal. So it makes a lot of sense. There are 10 more automations, and I built half of them, and I'll share them in some future videos. But there are so many more automations that you can do to help you speed up your process to get a project up and running. This is just the basic like foundation pieces. I need a folder with the client's name in my clients folder so that I can start adding documents, adding whatever I need, everything about this client. It's going to be stored in this Google Drive folder. And so what this is doing is it's just creating a Google Drive folder. So super straightforward. I am in my shared drive in OneIntegrate in 00 clients, and the name of the folder is just going to be the company name, which we got right up here from the relational database. So I'm creating a folder. It's going to be called OneIntegrate internal in this scenario, but I only want this to happen if the status equals proposal. Okay, so this is important. So if I didn't have this filter, it's just going to create a bunch of folders. But if I'm in the discovery phase and it doesn't work out, I don't need a client folder. They're not a client yet, right? So for me, it made most sense to create the client folder at the proposal stage so that I can start creating, so I can start using that folder, right? The last two modules you do not have to worry about right now. This is a fun project that we are launching late June for more public access to it, but it's essentially I'll tell you a little bit about it. So it's a value portal. So a lot of times as we're building, it's really easy to forget about the actual value that we're delivering. And one of the main metrics that's the most measurable is the hours saved. Hours saved per integration run. So in this case, if I'm updating let's say we run through this and we move to the proposal phase. I want to let my co-founder, let my team know, hey, we're moved to the proposal phase. And I would typically before this go in and just type in like, hey, we're in proposal phase. Here's a link to the Notion page if you want to know more about it. No action needed now, but here's a link to the Google Drive folder where I will be uploading the proposal or contract. All of that goes away. So let's say that takes me all of 10 minutes for every single new client that comes through. That 10 minutes is out of my day. So I can actually measure that this saves me 10 minutes every time this scenario was run. And I'm tracking that using a mail hook and another make integration that we have that stores the productive execution. So this is a productive execution that saves me, let's say 5 minutes, and this one also saves me 5 minutes. So I'm tracking both of those, and it's adding it to an Airtable, which is then feeding into software, which gives me a really beautiful, nice looking portal. Yeah, really stoked about that. Went on a tangent. You can see I'm excited about it. That's coming. Don't worry. If you want this one, if you want to keep your Notion project workflow. If you're using Notion for project management, this is how you can keep it all organized and aligned and create some fun automations to make it interactive and share that knowledge across your team. Thanks, everyone.